one of the things that we do need to bear in mind is that from time to time engines fail. It might be that you choose to have a small secondary engine. Do make sure you check that from time to time. Get it run up every couple of weeks, check the kill cord works, because otherwise what you tend to find is people don't use the secondary engine, break down, and then the secondary engine doesn't work either. Alternative means of propulsion can also mean paddles. There's a limit to obviously how far we can paddle this boat, but we might be able to move out of a shipping lane or towards a mooring buoy or towards a shallower area of water, so that could be quite useful. So these little plastic boxes, sealable, waterproof, are really handy to keep on board. This one's got a whole variety of bits in it. Gaffer tape, cable ties, a sharp serrated knife. Serrated knives are really important to have on board. Actually, an old bread knife that's suitably protected can be really useful for actually chopping lines if you happen to get a line around your prop. And just other bits and bobs really, fuses, little bits of line that could be useful. What we've also got here is first aid kits that we've made up. In many ways it's actually better to make your own first aid kit up than buy the ones you get off the shelves in the supermarkets. Simply because you can actually put a few large wound dressings, a few medium wound dressings, some tape, some plasters. In my experience, the ones you buy at supermarkets tend to have lots of things that really are not very useful when the issues you're likely to have on a boat are major bleeds, burns, etc, etc. So maybe think about actually making up your own first aid kit. The Our Way First Aid course will give you some guidance on that. In the other pod, we've got charts, we've got almanacs, we've got tidal information for the particular areas we're going to be boating in. Of course, we've got our phone or iPad, and we can get plenty of information from those nowadays, but it's quite handy to have some physical books and paper charts to actually back up the electronics we've actually got on board, so we're working in an integrated way. We've got a pod here with some tools in it. It's quite difficult to get the tools out on this particular pod, so I'm not going to try and take them out, but just have a variety of tools that are going to do the jobs on board you need to. So a variety of spanners, wrenches, screwdrivers, and just look at your particular boat and find the things that you need to tighten up from time to time and just make sure you've got the tools for it. I've had boats in the past where they need a particular tool to deal with a particular issue on the engine, so maybe carrying that tool. It might be a prop change tool. You might not need it very often, but just keeping it on board can be a good thing to do. Make sure you're taking all of the precautions that you should do. You can see here the kill cord. We draped it over the throttle as a reminder for the next person to actually take the helmet or wear it, but also make sure it's worn properly. Make sure it's round your thigh, not round your wrist. And you can see down there we've got a second kill cord as well. Making sure you've got one somewhere on the boat is key. We've also got our phones and the Safe Tracks app. So the Our Way Safe Tracks app has now been around for a couple of years, and it's really excellent, and it's a means by which that you can register your passage with a shore contact, a friend or relative. When you're going afloat, you put in the nature of the passage you're doing, you say where you are, where you're going, what time you're due back, and then your shore contact gets some messages to remind them that you're going out, that you're due back, and if you're overdue, it starts to send them and you a reminder to contact each other. And in the event there was a problem and they couldn't get hold of you, then the Coast Guard can interrogate that system to try and provide you some assistance. If you do have a problem, contact the Coast Guard early, whether it's 999, Marine VHF, whether it's flares. Basically, what you need to do is make sure that assistance or the Coast Guard know about your problem early. They'll have no problem speaking to you, no problem assisting you, but they'd much rather be able to task an independent or an RNLI lifeboat early rather than the situation getting worse and therefore more dangerous for you and potentially those coming to your assistance. So don't hesitate to call for assistance, seek their advice and input, and they're hugely reassuring to be able to speak to. So remember, that's 999 for the Coast Guard or Marine VHF for the Coast Guard, Channel 16 or via DSC. So have a great time out there, whether you're just getting back to boating after a bit of time away or you've been regularly getting out over the last few weeks. Either way, have a good time afloat, have fun.